Welcome to Din's Talk, the space where soul wisdom meets bold action. I'm Mia Dins, your host, here to ignite your fire, help you claim your power, and guide you to take unstoppable steps towards your dream. Every episode is designed to awaken your purpose, fuel your passion, and spark transformation in your life. It's time to step into your truth and never stop. Let's dive in.
Welcome, guys, to another episode on Din's Talk. Let's talk soul. And I have another exciting guest today. Kjell is joining us from Colorado, right? Is that right where you are right now? And we met online and connected, and he has a beautiful story to share, his own story, how he evolved and is now a transformational coach and speaker, and does a lot of things like dog sitting, house sitting, a lot of little things here and there, and has big dreams and visions. And also a beautiful story to share how he actually had to transform pain into his purpose. And we are going to have a beautiful flow. And I'm so grateful that you're here and that you will share your beautiful energy and your joy and your love. And how about you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, and then we will just flow. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the intro, and I'm very honored to be here with you. My name is Kjell, as you said, it's spelled a little interesting, Kjell, it's Swedish. I'm 31 years old. I'm originally from California and currently live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Just a short intro. I think that one of my favorite phrases that sums me up as a person is a jack of all trades and a master of fun. Have for sure been on a journey for most of my life, searching for answers, trying to understand why I'm here, because I've always felt like I was here for a reason. And this journey has led me to many instances of synchronicities, of meeting the right people at the right time, of making big leaps into the unknown that eventually all kind of culminated here in Colorado Springs. Led me to this work that I never in the past probably would have imagined that I would end up in. There in my heart, there was this knowing that I was meant for more, but I didn't know what that looked like until I finally ended up here.
You're now a transformational coach. So what were you doing before that? What was as I would say, like the linear path you thought you would go
The
on?
linear, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it's important to share that ever since when I was in high school, I remember being told the path that I was supposed to go down, or that people usually went down, how it worked, what you needed to do to be successful. And I was not, I was not having it. I was like, there's no way that there's just this specific formula for happiness that works for everybody. And I didn't really enjoy school because of that exact kind of way of thinking, where it's just like, you're supposed to fit into this mold. If you check all these boxes, everything will work out. And I felt like it really stripped me of my originality, my uniqueness, my autonomy. And I didn't really agree with my parents in regards to what success looked like in the path that I was going to take. But I knew that whatever I was going to do, I wanted to make a difference while doing it. I wanted to do something that really mattered. I didn't want to just work a job to work a job. That was one thing that really bothered me, was um, this idea of the rat race and just surviving and just doing what you need to do because there's no other answer. So I did find different ways to be me and do jobs that I really enjoyed, where I could let myself shine through. And there was a lot of different jobs where that transpired. And I'd say one of the main ones that really shaped who I was and kind of started leading me down this path of following my heart was when I moved to Oregon when I was about 19 or 20. I needed to get a job because I did not have one. I was living up with my girlfriend at the time. And there was kind of this pressure of like, you got to do something, maybe like McDonald's. And I was like, there's no way. And I found a caregiving position for developmentally disabled adults. And that seemed right up my alley because I knew I'd be making a difference. So I applied with a family. Her name was Maja, and got the job. And that was perfect because she worked with her families. They all owned different foster homes. And I did that for about 5 years while in Oregon. There was a few things I did on the side as well, but that was the basis of my path of, yeah, I'll find something that will work with my lack of college education and things like that, but it's going to be something that really matters to me, where I can be myself and also help other people feel more comfortable and understood in who they are as well.
Beautiful. And how was that experience to be a caregiver? What was that like? And you were very young. It's not this is not usually what young people would choose, right?
Yeah, I never thought about it was definitely, it was one of the most challenging and most rewarding experiences I've ever had. The system that it was a state funded program. And one of the things that really bothered me was the way the state saw the clients and the people who participated in these foster homes was kind of just, I mean, they funded it, but they didn't really see the potential and the people that they were funding. It was like they're just a body. We're going to keep them safe and content and taken care of, but there's nothing else really that we need to do or we should do, because what's the point? And that really bothered me because spending time, and I actually stayed at these houses for multiple days at a time. So I got to know these people really well. And they might have had disabilities, but they were incredible people that really wanted to live fulfilling lives and actually explore and do things to contribute and just feel a part and welcomed, and they wanted to feel like they were contributing not only to themselves but also society. And I think that they were stunted in the way the system worked, so that was something that really bothered me. But I always prided myself in the way I showed up and how I would allow them to, I wouldn't let them slide, and I wouldn't like give them just, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I know what you're capable of, and I'm going to treat you like that. And they could feel the love that I had, but they also were like, he's not going to just let us kind of get by with like, what are they going to do? Like they're going to do a lot. They taught me a lot, and there was a lot of challenging in the behavior and just how they showed up. But I think what I learned the most about that job was patience and compassion.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, they see life differently as well. And because my one of my nephews from one of my sisters, he has Down syndrome. So yeah, you like you just said, when he was little, he was sneaky. He knew that he will get some special treatment and he would play with that. But then you just have to be like, no, 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 you're much more capable of that. So don't even try that. So it's beautiful to see, but at the same time, if you just allow their perspective of life, it just completely changes. Because we get, when you have everything, all right, you have all the limbs, your brain is functioning 100%, you take that for granted. And when you just allow them to show you, okay, what life is, with some handicap, so to speak, or not
Hmm.
having everything, it takes on, like, it can change your perspective, and you just much more have appreciative and have compassion.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. And I know that when we were talking offline, when you were 19, or around 20, I think there were two initiations, like big ones for you on a soul level, like two painful experiences, like with your breakup and your loss of your brother. Can you maybe talk about that and how this has shaped your path?
Yeah. So I moved, I'm from California. I moved up to Oregon, Eugene specifically, which is a college town, with my girlfriend at the time. And we weren't there for that long until we started to realize that we weren't actually really meant to be living together or together in that way. I If my memory serves me correctly, it was pretty crazy because I think the night that I actually decided to end the relationship, that very night I went on a walk just after a heated argument. And then I come back home and I had a bunch of missed calls on my phone from my mom. And at the time, if I'm being honest, our relationship wasn't the greatest. So it wasn't like uncommon for me to kind of just ignore her calls. I checked the voicemail and I was upstairs in our townhome and I listened to the voicemail, and I could just immediately tell that something was very wrong with the sound of her voice. And what happened was that very night, my oldest brother, Kai, he got into a motorcycle accident and he died immediately. So she was just letting me know that my brother was no longer with us. So I had just broken up with someone, and then that happened. And I also had just moved to a different state. And in that moment, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing or what is happening. Like it really felt just like a shockwave to my system. But as time proceeded afterwards, and as I started to kind of just like look at myself and my situation differently and the things that were presenting themselves, it seemed like a perfect opportunity to kind of do things differently and really evaluate who I was and how I was living my life. And I will say that I am, out of anybody in my family, I'm definitely someone who's more willing to see the positive or the more empowering side of things. So even though it destroyed me, I still was like, well, there has to be a reason this happened, or there has to be a way that I can move through this and not just let it take me down.
It's very powerful, especially, you had all these three big major life changes, like a breakup, losing someone, and the change of home, like, living somewhere. These are like really big life changes. They are already like stressful itself. It doesn't matter if it's like positive when you move, it's usually positive, right? Because you choose to move, something exciting, but these are like major changes that will really disrupt your nervous system, and where you
Hmm.
feel home and like centered, and then this completely shakes you. And then having this awareness is like a huge. And of course it wasn't shown to you right away. It wasn't like, oh, my brother died, I had a breakup, this is why. This obviously was a process, right? Over,
Yeah.
there was some grieving. And what kind of like, firstly, thank you for sharing this and being so vulnerable, because yeah, I know how it feels when you lose someone you love, and it's like, it just kind of really disrupts your life and shakes it up, like, it's just, you can't explain it. You
Hmm.
experience, and especially that an accident is, I think it's even just different. If someone is sick and okay, they are going to die, it's still pain, it's the same pain. But I believe when something suddenly happened, like this call, it was so unexpected, and probably the
Hmm.
worst moment it could have happened for you, right? Like, I mean, there's no
Yes.
moment, but in this
Yeah.
moment, like, gosh,
Yeah.
uh, and well, what do you think? Like, what shifted in your perspective? I know you see like the empowering part of this, but what do you think? What led you there on? What path were you led on?
Well, so ever since I was little, I've always believed in kind of the woo woo and spiritual things like magic, or just this like idea that things are not just happening to us. Even though, trust me, I've allowed myself to be a victim plenty of times in my life. Like there was a big party that was like, this can't be just the way it works. And I think after that happened, I was faced with a 3D reality of like, all right, how am I going to figure this out? I'm going through a breakup. I also made the decision to kind of move and be on my own, even though it was with someone. I wasn't going to go back on that. It was kind of a rite of passage for me where it was like, all right, I'm staying in Oregon and I'm going to figure this out. And that was the first time I was completely alone for a while. So being that alone and being faced with like just that unknown, but also having that part of me that always has known that, all right, well, you're not just here. Like we're not just letting you fall down and like you're screwed. Like even though there were parts of me that were very scared, I held on and I kept persisting. And then things started to come up that I would call messages and promptings, like directions to go in. And I started meeting certain people. And I think one of the most foundational parts of that pivot was when my mom offered to pay for this seminar that was actually in Eugene. She's like, I really want you to take the seminar. Like, I'll pay for it. It's not cheap, but I really think it'll help you. And I was like, all right, like, what can it hurt? And I was the youngest person in that group of people, and it was a very powerful setting where we got really deep with ourselves and each other, and they were all complete strangers, and it cracked something open in me that just further affirmed like that magic that I've always believed. And it for sure raised my vibration. It had me think about myself and the universe differently. And then as I was finishing that program, I remember the night that I was leaving work, which was very close to where the program was held. And there was a concert just down the street. And I was like, well, I love this music and it'd be really fun to go, but I don't know if I want to go. And I was like, well, if I go, I want to bring these light toys that I have that would be fun to play with, but I have to go home to do that. So like, it's like, this is important because the timing and like the fact that I was willing to go all the way home, come all the way back. And it's like, I wasn't even planning on going. This was very spur of the moment. And that at that show is where I met my group of soul family in Eugene, and my girlfriend that I dated for 3 years. She also very much opened me up to spirituality and metaphysics and just the spiritual path. So things just kept on falling into place in a way that was like, obviously I'm being guided, and there's a lot more, but I feel like that was a good summary.
It's beautiful, and I love those synchronicities of scenarios and things that have to happen that will lead us on a path. And like you said, like these are the moments, these spirited moments, these moments of like, okay, where you just get this gut feeling and you just do it, and you can't explain it. Like logically, it's almost like it's like, oh, it's like a travel there and travel back, doesn't make sense. But if you just go, I feel like those moments, they just open up so much magic, and so many beautiful things. And this is, we have to, because that's life. Life is always like that, when we trust those feelings. And tell us about, or tell me about, like, because I remember offline talk, you said like you saw your girlfriend at that time. That was actually a cute story, I think, when you saw her and what happened. That would be cool too.
Well, it was funny. It's just so interesting the way things unfold because when I said the light toys, like I do kind of like it's called light shows and you have little lights on your fingers and I really enjoy that. There's a lot of different light things that you see at raves and electronic shows. And I brought my gloves and I was like really excited and I was playing around and I gave her a light show and she introduced herself and I got her phone number, not really thinking anything of it, especially because she was wearing like a mask so I couldn't really see her. And then I met her friend who was also into the same form of dance. I let him borrow my gloves and we just really hit it off. And after the show, he was like, "You have to come over to my house." I was like, "All right." I was like, "This sounds like fun." So I went over to his house and we were all hanging out and she ended up being there. Turns out she knew him as well. And I didn't, I was like, "Oh, what are the chances?" So we're spending a bunch of time together, getting to know each other. And actually, in that night realized how much I really liked her and I went up to her. I like hopped over and I was sitting next to her and I was like, "Hey, I have a really big crush on you. I just want to let you know." And she said at the time she was like, "Well, I'm not really interested." Like it wasn't I didn't feel like she was just rejecting me. She just genuinely just wasn't interested in the connection at the time and I was like, "All right." I was like, "Well, I'm glad I told you that. That's fine." And it was really amicable and I just kind of like went and did my own thing. And I guess in my energy and in that response, she started to feel differently of because she probably expected me to be upset or be like, "Fine," and but I wasn't. And I sat on this chair in the living room away from her and was talking to someone. And she came over and she was like, I remember she was incessantly tapping my leg, trying to get my attention, but I was in the middle of conversation. And then she finally just interjected literally physically in the conversation and came in and kissed me. And that was one of those movie moments where it's like your breath is taken away. And I was like, like I did not expect it at all. And
Yeah.
from that moment forward, we became very close very quickly. Like I think we moved in pretty fast, and to this day, we're still really great friends. Actually, we do a podcast together. We just had an episode not too long ago. My mom's always like, "How's Christina doing?" So, but she was
Yeah.
a foundational part of my awakening, opening my heart, and just realizing because I've always thought differently, but I needed the right people to surround myself with to encourage that. You know what I mean? To like
Yeah,
feel more
absolutely.
comfortable in thinking differently and expressing that contrast or that opposing general collective thought. Because I'm very passionate, but in the wrong audience, people are like, "What are you talking?"
Yeah, I know. I can feel you. It's all like this. That's why it's so beautiful when you said like that, the soul family. And obviously, Christina, yeah, your ex partner now, but still is a soulmate, right?
Hmm.
Soulmate doesn't have to be our romantic partner. This could is our best friend and our soul family, right? And sometimes, you have a certain, talking about soul contracts. We talked about that offline. You had a certain soul contract, and this lifetime is maybe not there for you to spend the rest of your life with each other. But you needed to, to be with each other in a romantic relationship for 3 years in order to activate certain parts within you, because you had a consciously uncoupling. As I remember, you both agreed, "Hey, this is, we go different directions. Who knows what's going to happen? You don't know, it could be anything, but for right now, this is where you are at." And it's beautiful. And I love that when you still very much connected, because yeah, I think the hardest part is when people split up and then they actually hate each other and do all this, traumatic stuff. And I understand sometimes painful things happen when you don't talk about it, or when your communication wasn't very great. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I believe that, like, if you, like, yeah, when you communicate well, then you can also split up in a very civilized way and be really conscious about that. I had this with my ex-partner too. Not the we didn't have the relationship like you guys have, but it was a conscious, uncoupling agreement. Hey, this is not working. And it was like very functional for a couple of years. And it was like serving its purpose. It was showing and teaching me, of course, a lot of things, and him as well. And that was our soul contract. And once you have this awareness, you can actually let go and just be, and just move on and evolve and take that for your own learning and growing. So it's very powerful and beautiful. With like obviously you had your journey, and then you went on again on your stage, and then you met your mentor, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like how was that? And then this led you on the path to become a transformational coach, right?
Correct. The relationship with Christina ended in me buying a one-way ticket to Europe, planning on staying over there and finding myself, because that's where you find yourself.
Come
That
to
was a
Europe.
yeah. And that was a very powerful trip, and I did learn a lot. It was a lot of fun. I volunteered a lot, and I mostly spent a lot of time with kids. But COVID then happened because I left in the beginning of 2019, so I had to come back in early 2020 to the Bay
Yeah.
Area, where I'm originally from. And then I was there for, I think, about 2 years. And in the process of being there, I started going down into one of my cycles of like feeling lost and like, I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And I need to figure something out. And for most of my life, I remember when I get into these modes, like I go into deep research on whatever I think I can find around spirituality and modalities that'll help support me in understanding why I'm here or which direction to go in. So I'm pretty well versed in astrology and human design and numerology and all that stuff. And I was in one of those deep research phases and somehow stumbled across Vince Kramer, which is when my soon to be mentor at the time. And we had a discovery call together. And this was at the end of 2022. And he invited me to do his program. And I did his program with one other woman who I'm still really close with today. Her name's Julie. And it was by far the most powerful experience I've ever had. And I was like, this is like, I was so excited about the work and just the way he was doing things, as well as Mary, his wife. And they felt my quintessence and my energy and like who I was and how I was showing up. So much to the point that towards the end of the program, we were on the phone, and I remember him, like the moment that he offered, he's like, if you're interested, I think you'd be a really good coach in this work. And I would love to have you move into our home in Colorado Springs, and we can train you to become a teacher and a coach of the program. Full body, like, this is what I've been waiting for my entire life. It finally landed. I was seen in a way that I've always wanted to be seen. And it was definitely an interesting transition because I had known them through the program online, but I had never met them. So the first time I really met them in person was March 18th, 2023. And that was the evening that I moved into their home. I moved in and we hit the ground running, and I immediately got into training and shadowing him while he was giving classes. And I was immersed in, because he gave multiple programs, and one of them was a year long. And I was gifted that year long to be in as well, to help me mature more and also just understand the mechanics of everything they taught. Because the first program is more of a foundational, and then the second one that they offered was like, how do you implement it? So in that 2 years, I was faced with a lot, and it was really challenging, but it was also, I just felt so lucky and grateful to be given that opportunity. And I knew by making the decision to jump into the unknown and do something that a lot of people were like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is exactly what I need to do. And if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be who I am now or where I am now, and I wouldn't know myself as much as I do. So it definitely was the right
Mhm.
move to make, literally and metaphorically.
It's powerful. What was the biggest shift within that program?
I think I remember specifically one time, Vince, we were sitting down in his living room by the couch, and he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, nothing is outside of you, Kjell. And he was constantly trying to communicate what that meant, and how if I really wanted things to change, I needed to be able to be willing and able to change myself, transform, and the way I see things. And I think there was a foundational moment, because I told you earlier that I didn't really get along with my mom. My family in general hasn't had the greatest relationship over the years. And there was a period when I first moved in with Vince and Mary where I actually wasn't talking to my mom for a while. And I was on the stairs walking up to my room, and they were like, call your mom. And I was like, no, I didn't want to. And like, But I did, and I had already been doing a bunch of this work. And I showed up with my mom in a way I hadn't before. And we had a conversation that, like, we have never had before. And then our conversation started looking more and more different and more empowering and more vulnerable. And she could just tell how I was showing up a lot different. And she didn't have to change at all for our entire relationship to become the best. Now I call her like at least once a week. And the first thing I say is, I love you, because I've always loved her, but she has drove me nuts. But now, now I don't get nearly as bothered by her because I realize it wasn't really ever her. It was just my perception of her and my own beliefs and my own shadows and all that stuff. So I think that's the biggest thing is if I could change the way I see my mom and how I thought that she saw me, then I'm very capable of changing a lot in my life, because that was one of my biggest struggles growing up. I definitely did not feel understood or loved in the way that I wanted.
Yeah. And I believe that's a problem or an issue that most of us actually have, within like family dynamics usually. And there's soul contract, right? Your soul sign up for this exactly because you are meant to discover that and then help others, right?
Yes.
Like transform pain into purpose. And how would you say right now, because you're obviously working with people and you're a transformational coach and you transformed your pain into your purpose. So what is the one of the major things you work on with clients? What do you think is most commonly coming up?
I think the thing that most commonly comes up is the fact that in a lot of the things that we see outside of ourselves, there's always, like, in the triggers and in the charges that are positive, there's always something for us. Like that same sentence that Vince would say to me, like, there's nothing outside of you. So I think one of the things I'm often encouraging my clients to see is to pay attention to their experiences and their reactions and responses with people, because it's always showing you something about yourself. And unfortunately, too often, I'd say that reflection is looked at in a more negative context. It's like, well, what is it showing you about you? Like, what do you need to work on? And I think it's important to clarify, these reflections and mirrors that we're being given are not always just showing us our crap. A lot of it is showing us the beauty and the light that we're not willing to acknowledge yet in ourselves. And that's
Mhm.
my favorite part of the work, especially the first program that I really do run. Is the whole purpose of the program is to help people get in touch with their own answers and to see themselves in a way they haven't before. And a lot of that seeing themselves is in seeing how other people are showing up around them.
And what do you do? How would you imagine I would be coming to you right now as a new client and wouldn't have, this awareness that I'm having right now? How would you start usually? Like, I know there is no template and there's no, like one size fits all kind of scheme, but what is the general approach you do?
So that's the thing is I was very lucky to be given kind of a formula, because the program does have like a general flow, and there are exercises that are all created to help the person get in touch with their own answers on a multidimensional level. So I'm just basically your best friend and your guide that's holding your hand along the way. I'm here to kind of help keep you on track and help you laugh and enjoy the process. But the main thing is, I mean, my purpose and why I'm here is to change perception. So the main thing I do is to help people see things in a different way. But my main focus is to help themselves see themselves in a different way. And a lot of that comes from just connecting deeply and asking a lot of questions, but also guiding them through exercises that work with both their psychological mind as well as their spiritual mind, and tapping into their own answers, and then me kind of just reflecting back what they're already getting, so they're able to hear it in different, you know what I mean, where it's like, all right, like, we're always getting our answers. Even the least spiritual people are still getting answers as they go throughout their day. I'm just here to help kind of solidify that connection that we all have and share it.
Yeah.
Like, it's right. See, did you see that? You remember when that happened? Like, that was something for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I am the same. Like when I work with people, I always encourage them to tap into themselves first and come then from an empowered place to seek answers on the outside, but always ask yourself first, right? Always have a practice that helps you to tune into yourself, however that looks like. And how does it look like for you on a daily basis? How do you connect with your soul, your higher self? Like, does it change over time? Like, how do you do it?
So, I mean, meditation and just kind of dropping in, I think the being what we call allowing, which is like being observant of things that are happening around you, and from a curious and almost like optimistic perspective, where it's like, all right, how are things unfolding and what is it trying to tell me? That's a way to be connected. But we actually teach a process called active connection in the program. And it's a process where you're accessing the multidimensional part of you because you're using your physical body, you're using your connection, and you're using your mind all at once to really solidify this connection that you have with your trusted sources, which could be, we prefer you connect with your higher self because your higher self remembers everything because you chose to be here and you chose a certain mission and all this stuff, and your higher self came here like to be that guide for you along this path. So when you do tap into your higher self and you ask questions, and they can be as specific as you want, we kind of guide you through the process of what that looks like. And that's my dream, and that's Vince's dream as well, and Mary's as well. As I mean, we want people to uncover their purpose, but I think the main thing we want people to understand is that they are connected, and it's not something quote unquote greater than themselves. Like, it's the magnificence of you and how you are connected to source and this energy that's all around us. So you have your answers, and connecting to those answers doesn't have to be as taboo and stigmatized as it has been in the past.
That's beautiful. I feel that it's powerful. And
So the environment is really important. And I don't mean to say this that like you can't do this anywhere, because truly I think that we're all learning how to do this even on like a city bus going to work. But dropping in, so like getting centered, preferably like connecting with your heart and recognizing like the chakra system as well. You don't need to know the details of it, but it's like we're made of energy. So you're tapping into that awareness that I am an energy, and literally everything around me and within me is made of this energy. So you drop into that knowingness and you surrender to that, to just that presence. And when you find yourself in your nervous system relaxing, what we encourage people to do is to say like, I am opening a coning. And what that looks like, if you visualize it, is literally a funnel at the top of your head. So information is going into that funnel, down into your crown chakra, into your being, because you're connected to that source, and that's where the information is coming from. So you imagine that, and you can say out loud or in your head, I am opening a coning. And you kind of wait and you just feel into that connection. And you'll notice over time as you continue to practice this, the subtle differences in how your body and your energy feels. And then once you feel the difference, you say, I connect to, and you choose whichever trusted source you would like to talk to. So, and that could even be someone who's passed away. But in my case, it would say, I connect to my higher self and just relax into it and feel it. There's no rush. And know that in this process, especially of connecting to your higher self, you're literally connecting to your best friend and they cannot wait to talk with you. And then as soon as you feel that connection, I ask that you take a pen and you have a notebook and you start writing almost, it's like a movie script. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to put Kjell in, and I'm going to say, hello, higher self, or are you there? Whatever feels comfortable to you. And then relax. You might get something really quick and it might show up as a picture in your mind. You might hear it, or it might just be a thought. But whatever comes, as soon as it comes, don't think about it, don't judge it, just start to write it down. But it's really important to write whoever the trusted source might be. So at this time, it might just be trusted source, colon, and then whatever you hear in your head. Whenever I talk to my higher self, they usually respond with some kind of hello, and then I'm prompted to write like a smiley face. Like, like it's like that's what comes naturally. And then you're going back and forth. So you write down your questions. So I'm feeling really called to connect to you today. I want to develop this relationship further. And then higher self, and then whatever you hear, whatever you feel. And the reason why this is important to do it in this way is because you're training all parts of you, your physicality, to learn and understand this connection, because you're switching between dimensions in a sense, because your 3D body is physical, but you're using that in the process of connecting to a higher vibration, but it's all part of you. But it's really powerful. And if this is encouraged and adapted and integrated into the collective, can you imagine like the change that we would see
yeah.
in personal relationships, never mind in the politics, and in just like how, if we all recognize that we were tapped into this level of wisdom and guidance, I think the entire world would change very quickly.
Oh, 100%, because everyone will be so busy talking to themselves and getting to know themselves. Sure. There's no need to then talk about other people, judge them, or be in anybody else's business and try to make their life complicated and put drama out there, because that's what I'm saying. Like, guys, you spend the rest of your life with yourself 100%. You are the person. This is your vessel. So why would you not spend time to get to know yourself? And it's powerful because this automatic writing, basically what I do, but differently. I journal since I'm 10, and there is always like when you tap into, and I ask questions, what lights me up today? What is the message? For me, the message already came through when you said I open up my crown chakra. I already came through, and I already knew that before. This is what I need. And it's for me, it's like after this podcast, I need rest. I need to completely shut off everything and just rest. And I could see myself just sitting outside and watching the birds and listening to the wind, like this kind of rest, like a complete stillness. And I knew that already before, but it was just a confirmation, And there was also a part of me that was like, but I really want to walk to the beach and I wanted to have a swim, swimming, but it's like rest, like, because like I had a busy couple of weeks, and it's just like, I need it and I could feel it. And it was beautiful when you really allow that. And as I said, the mind was trying to come in, but no, 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 no. And I need to do this and editing and la, la, la. But right now, this is what I need. And the beautiful thing is, yes, for sure, you can choose the path of the ego and push through. But this will lead possibly to, I'm going to be overtired, or maybe my body will start to be achy, or I get sick, whatever. And on the other hand, I will miss something super profound not sitting in the stillness, because I may only need to sit out there 30 minutes. I don't know. And it may guide me. I had those experiences that will guide me to contact this person, look here, or whatever it is. And that will then have a ripple. That was just amazing. Out of these moments, what came out of those moments when I took the rest, when my ego absolutely wanted to do something different and to push through what we are trained to do, conditioned to do, because it's, this constant action. But this is action now aligned. And
I
very
love it.
powerful. It's powerful, and it's a constant battle. You will never be perfect at that. You will constantly have to tap in and choose that, like it's a constant, like, discerning of, okay, what is actually is it my soul? Is it fear? Is it my mind talking? Whatever it is, right? And so it's very powerful. So thank you for that. I can imagine that will, for people at the beginning sometimes, because they're very mindy, and journaling or automatic writing is actually a beautiful exercise or a way or tool for very mindy people, because you can write it down. And after a while, when you just write, you will start to feel, this is not me talking. It's not my mind. It's you, but it's not the mind. It's something else, because that's what I experience. I know when I'm writing from the ego, and I know when I start to tap in, and when I go into the space of allowance and just flowing, right? So thank you for sharing this. It's powerful. It's beautiful. And so people got a little bit of an idea and what that means. And there's something, this is like, what was this method called again? The active connection?
Active connection.
Active connection. And do you do that for yourself on a daily basis, or do you sometimes like, do you?
I try to. There are some times where I fall a little bit out of it. I at least do it a couple times a week, but ideally every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you always write. Do you write it on a notepad or on a computer, or doesn't matter?
No, I prefer to do it physically. Like I have like 4 or 5 journals that are filled with active connection. And it's really nice to have that physical like record, because then you can come back to it. Because when you're connecting in this way, you are in a higher vibration. And if you go throughout your day, your vibration usually drops. There's nothing wrong with that. You're in the 3D world. But if you come back to the information, you're tapping into it again. And every time you come back to it, you're seeing it at different levels. And it's just a good reminder also to see like how far you've come, quote unquote. Like you're like, oh, I remember when I was talking about this, and now I'm so it's a really powerful tool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for those who are like, I used to have a lot of journals, but since I have a nomadic lifestyle, it's not convenient to carry like 10 journals with me. So it's not, I'm just going to be honest, because like it will pile up and there's no space, because you have like a small bag or suitcase. So it's also super okay, because I knew to provide it on either a writing pad or your phone or your laptop, whatever, because there are people out there who say, oh, you have to do it in a, like handwritten way. No, I don't believe that either. It's cool. It's good. It is a difference for sure, because your brain gets activated very differently through using your own. And I encourage it, but it's not a must in order to get there, because energy is energy, and you connect in whatever shape or form. So just for people out there, because sometimes people get really like, have to do it now.
Yes. No, I'm glad you said that. Because I think the most important thing is if a certain way of doing something is going to limit you from doing it at all, I'd prefer you just do it the way that works for you.
Yeah.
That's way more important that you actually do it, especially in what way works for you. And there's going to be time in the evolution of what that looks like. Because I think there are times where it's like, I genuinely need to do things differently. And then there are times where there's parts of you that want to hold you back from certain growth and expansion. It's like, well, can you challenge yourself a little bit? But as long as you're doing it, that's what really matters. We're not going to be,
Yeah.
you have to do it this way every time. It's not like
Yeah.
that at all.
100%, like military style. And it's the same like when, like when you don't have gym access. And how many times did I not have a gym over the past 12 months? I'm absolutely a gym, like, and I love to move my body functional. And so what would it look like, if I would, not having a gym and then not doing it at all? So I'm just like using whatever I have around me and make the most of it, right? So that's powerful and beautiful. Now, I know we can talk forever, but like in general, like what, how, I mean, like if you could share like a message, I know you said, or like, it would be amazing if everybody does this, being able to tune in into the higher self on a daily basis would change the world. So if there was a message right now that you feel like everybody needs to hear, the listeners, what would that be from a soul? What is your soul trying to image or like put out there right now? What do you feel is coming through?
I think the main thing is that we're all being called, and what we're being called to is to wake up. And I think for a long time, what we thought waking up was like, oh, like just we're ascending or we're becoming enlightened and all this stuff. And the ego kind of hijacked that, that what is waking up? What we're really being called to wake up to is ourselves and the fact that we chose to be here as a soul and we have a mission to accomplish. And the irony in that is that no matter what, you're already living your purpose and you're always living it. But the real magic comes when you are conscious of why you're here and then you choose to create your life based on that understanding and that knowing of yourself. Because when we're living in alignment with who we are, we're making the difference that we're meant to make. And that's really what's going to create the world that we all want to see, that heaven on earth, which I think all of us deep down really want. We're just kind of afraid to admit it sometimes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love this, the conscious choice. It's very important that to emphasize that, because we can consciously choose, right? We always have a choice. Like you said before, like if something something traumatic happens, expected pain, you can choose. It's not about bypassing, not feeling it, but you can choose. Do you want to learn from it? Do you want to transform this pain? Or do you want to stay in victim mode, And we
Mhm.
all done that, like being in this victim mode, be like, oh, why is it happening to me? And it's part of it. It's part of the growth. It's part of the learning that we have the choice, because this is how it goes. And I thought with you, I'm doing something that I haven't done before, but I thought you would be a great person, like a rapid fire soul question, very quick, and you just whatever comes through to you in this very moment, you just answer. There's no right or wrong, obviously, right? So you just whatever share, and it could be just a one sentence answer. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Like, what is you doing? I love this. Um, book that changed your life.
The book that changed my Awakening Through Moments of Choice, which is the
Wow.
book that my mentor wrote, Vince Kramer.
Okay, beautiful. And a song that brings you back to your truth.
A song that brings me back to my truth. That's a tough one. There's so much music I listen to.
I know it's so
There's
hard.
I listen to a lot of music that doesn't have words. There's a song by this artist named Charisma. I think it's pronounced charisma, but it's spelled Kore, and the song is called Bridges. That's one of my all-time favorite songs.
Okay, cool. Amazing. And I know we spoke about that, but maybe whatever comes through now, a moment that broke you wide open.
So the passing of my brother, as well as the recent passing of Vince Kramer, my mentor, which was on June 12th of 2024. Both of those broke me wide open, but they also led me to, like you said, transformation and seeing myself in the world in a different way, more empowered way.
It's powerful. And a place on earth that feels like home to you.
I would say I lived in Oregon for 5 years, and there's something about the geography of the Eugene, Springfield area that really felt like home to me. So if
Mm.
anybody has a chance to visit Oregon, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful state. People are very welcoming.
Great. And last one, a quote you live by.
Quote that I live by. Oh, this one's okay. The authentic remembrance of the I will unify the we.
Wow, powerful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. That was amazing. I just thought I'm going to do that with you. And can people actually find you if they want to connect with you? And obviously, I will put everything in the description box, and so that they can, find out more.
Instagram.com/ Puka Shell. So PUKA, and then my name, which is KJELL. Also purposemeaningjoy.com. That's the website. And then my email, like that's the best way to direct contact, is my Phillips925@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. And lastly, is there anything else do you wanted to share to wrap this up? Anything you wanted to say or that comes up for you?
I think I've kind of driven the point. Just know that like we all need each other so much. and the best way for that to show up is by us understanding ourselves more and being all that we are.
Beautiful. I love this. This is a beautiful closing of this full transmission that we had and the talk. And thank you so much for being here, for sharing your energy, your love, and your joy and your vulnerability. I know we have a similar frequency in that sense, the Sagittarius energy of being like bouncing back very quickly and choosing the positive side, the empowerment side, and joy. Why not? Because we're taught and conditioned that no, and not everything can be joy, and these kind of things. So it's really beautiful that another soul out there is embodying that, and keep doing your work, keep showing up and spreading your light and love in the world, because we need it so much. And I'm very grateful that you shared the space with me here, and you shared your beautiful story as well, and also your painful moments, and helping others to see that this is happening for us, not to us. And also in memory of your beautiful brother and your mentor, Vince. Sorry.
No, you're right.
So thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in again. And thank you for being here. I hope you had so much joy and learned as well a lot and got activated, whatever needed to get activated. And if you have any comments, any questions, whatever resonated with you or didn't resonate with you, leave it in the comments below, and we are happy to get back as always. And thank you so much, guys. Until next time, lots of love. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Din's Talk. I hope today's conversation sparked something within you. Remember, you have the power to align with your soul, take bold action, and live a life fueled by passion. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and leave a comment if this episode resonated with you. And as always, do it, never stop. Until next time, keep claiming your fire and your power.